Oh.
Genius billionaire playboy philanthropist.
Why so serious?
I wish I knew how to quit you.
You talking to me?
Life was like a box of chocolates.
You can't handle the truth.
I see dead people.
Say hello to my little friend.
Here's Johnny.
You're gonna need a bigger boat. I'll be back.
To us? To us.
Hey there, guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Picture This Film Reviews. I guess we need no introduction, as that's usually covered in our wonderful entrance video. So awesome. Glad to have you back. So as we normally do before we get this episode kicked off and tell you what brings us here today, I want to go ahead and kick it around the table, see how everybody's week was. Did we watch anything fun and exciting? Who wants to go first?
Do you want
Robert De Niro down south? Is that
Okay.
what you got going?
That's close, actually.
Yeah. I've got what did I do? I've had an okay week. The weekend is too short as always. If it's starting, weekends are starting to feel like those 30-minute lunch breaks, you know. But I watched Captive Audience on Hulu, which, if you're unfamiliar, because I totally was until I saw an ad for it. It's a documentary series. It's 3 parts about a young boy named Steven Stainer, who was kidnapped at the age of 7 years old and held captive for 7 years, and returned 7 years later at 14, and was made news. It was a big story. They arrested his captor, and that was the whole thing, right? Well, it doesn't stop there, and I'm not going to spoil everything, but his family gets thrown back into the spotlight 20 years later when his older brother, Cary Stainer, is arrested for murder. So that was a little interesting. It's a short 3-part thing.
Does it say like why like the captor, like did he get away from the captor or?
Yes, yeah. Basically the captor abducted another boy, and he took the little boy, because now at this point he was a teenager, and was basically he was in the public life because they had moved away. Everyone thought that the kid Steven was this guy's son, and he had changed his name and everything. But what was happening behind closed doors was a much different story. But the captor kidnapped another little boy that was like 5 years old, and I just got real red.
Yeah, scary.
I'm not sure what happened.
God,
there it goes.
like...
It's a scary story I'm telling. So he kidnapped a 5-year-old, right? And that's when, thankfully, nothing happened to the 5-year-old. The now 14 Steven said this was not going to happen anymore. He wasn't going to let the little boy suffer through what he suffered through. So he took the little boy one night and took off and hitchhiked like some 72 miles or something to a nearby town, and called the police. And the police knew who the little boy was, but then couldn't believe it when he told them who he was, because he had been missing for 7 years. They had presumed him dead.
Wow.
It's quite a crazy story, and then it gets even crazier at the end with the older brother. It's just like, whoa. So that's on Hulu if you care to check it out. It's called Captive Audience. I enjoyed it. And then I also started watching Euphoria, because I've heard a lot about it. I started watching it. It's a lot of penis. That's all I'm going to say. Lots of male penis in that show.
Yes, right? Don't we see the dad's wang or something?
I believe I've seen just about everyone's wang so far. I'm on episode 5 And it seems like every episode I see at least one, and I'm not sure how I feel
Is
about it.
it? You're on season 1?
Season 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to hearing what your final thoughts are on that.
I
Besides,
mean, I'm enjoying it, but it's a lot. It's a lot to
it
take
is,
in.
yeah, it is.
That's all I got. How are you guys?
I don't know. How are we, Kayla?
Good.
We're good.
Rolling into this week, pretty good.
On to this week. See anything interesting on TV?
We watched, what was that called? The Night House
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
on HBO Max. Did you watch it, Matt?
I did.
Did you watch it this past week or before?
No, I watched it a few weeks ago, actually right before it went on HBO.
Oh, were you the one that said something? Is it?
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what to think about that movie. I don't know, like you watch trailers of something and then you expect something else.
Mhm.
Like I was scared to watch it because the trailer made it seem so beyond spooky and scary, and Dan wanted to watch it because he likes scary stuff. So I was like, yeah, but I'll only watch it during the day, is what I said.
Mhm.
So we watched it, and it was a lot different than what I expected. It wasn't terrible. But I think, it's really however you decide to interpret it, the ending. So
Yeah, out of just to quickly put out there, my rating on this would probably be a 5 out of 10. If you're going for like a horror film, I wouldn't recommend this for you. If you're looking for like suspense thriller type, like I think it falls probably more in that line than otherwise. But I mean, there's some good twists in there, and the ending kind of leaves it up to you to decide, like, what do you think actually was the case? Which I can appreciate ones like that. Just wasn't one of my favorite films. And I know Kayla didn't sit through the whole thing with me, but I was able to rewatch The Batman this week, which I was super excited about rewatching. And there were a couple things I picked up on I didn't in the original viewing in the theater. Some like Easter eggs people have pointed out after the fact because I was reading all that. They did apparently close down the website that was associated with this at the end of the movie. Like it updated with the graphics, like seized by Gotham PD or something. So that
Oh,
was
wow,
kind of
that's
interesting to
cool.
see. But
At the end of the credits, they
yep,
changed it?
yep, yeah, shut that down and kind of like I guess I have to go back and look at what people found on the website because we saw it at the very beginning.
Yeah. Well, the website was a questionnaire
Right.
that if you answered the questions correctly, they were like riddles. And if you answered the questions correctly, then you got the link to the deleted scene with the Joker.
And you
Spoilers.
can download stuff too. It downloaded a whole bunch of stuff to your whatever browser you had. Yeah, it downloaded a whole bunch of stuff on mine.
Oh, I didn't do that. I did it on my phone. I didn't do that.
Yeah, it did it on my phone. I'm pretty sure I got it on my phone. It's like a
wow.
whole bunch of like pictures of the Riddler's house, like the maps of all the stuff that he planned out, like all in detail list, a whole bunch of stuff, like the different contraptions he made, like a whole bunch of like random crap.
So I had some time to sit and digest this. I think I'm going to stick with my current rating as a 10 out of 10. And then I was getting some feedback about making this my top movie of all time. But I think realistically, I would put this probably as my number 3 all-time favorite movie.
How'd it go from 1 to 3?
It took a lot. It was just like you were talking to me about, like, how's this going to replace Jurassic Park? And I was like thinking to myself,
Hey,
yeah,
don't let
no,
other people.
But honestly, I'm looking at not so much just the fact that I enjoyed the movie so much, but also how these movies have kind of set the tone for me for movies I enjoy. For like, I mean, I got that from Nightmare Before Christmas. I got that from Jurassic Park. Did I really get that from the Batman? In some ways, yes, but not, it didn't hit me as early on in the game as the other ones. And, it's definitely one that I'm going to take as one of my favorites moving forward. But we're putting that as number 3 on my top 10 list. So
what gets bumped off of your top 10?
I'm going to have to relook at my list and see where everything fell to really make that decision.
And we'll find out next week.
Yeah, we'll find out next week, guys. So really, what brings us here today? Number 1, thank you to the folks that were watching our last video. I think we're currently up to 78 views, which
Wow.
for us, that's super exciting,
Wow.
especially after the weeks that we've had. So thank you for tuning in and watching. Just to hear us talk about films, the movie that we're talking about today is my mother's pick for our Mother Day round. If this is your first episode with us, you're not sure what we're doing. We are doing a Mother's Day round. As far as each of us is picking our mother's favorite movie to one, present to the group, then review, come back, talk on, rate, and all that good stuff. So this week it's my pleasure to announce my mother's, which is The Wizard of Oz. It's a movie that she's loved as long as I've known her as my mother, and apparently well before that. She has tried to watch this movie with me multiple times throughout my life, probably like hundreds of times, and is now trying to watch it with my children, so her grandkids
Who love it.
who also love it. So definitely passing that torch down. It's kind of cool. We get to share 3 generations of Wizard of Oz viewing. So really excited to talk about that today. But before we do, typically this is the point in our show that we discuss our news segment. And our news guy, Matt, I guess you have some interesting stuff for us. So why don't you share?
Oh my gosh, guys, buckle up. It was a crazy week in the news. Whew. Okay, so we're going to start off a little easy, all right? The Disney Plus Santa Claus spinoff series officially has a name. It's now going to be called The Clauses. And again, that's just a like a mini series, limited series, not mini series, limited series sequel to the Santa Claus franchise starring Tim Allen. So The Clauses is coming soon to Disney Plus. Some unfortunate news, if you're a Bill Murray fan, his new movie Being Mortal has been indefinitely suspended due to some misbehavior on set by Mr. Murray. That's currently under investigation. So not sure what's going on there, but I'm sure more will come out as time goes on. Everyone at least is aware of what's going on with Johnny Depp at this point and Amber Heard. Throughout the course of this, he did kind of not announce, but kind of make known that the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise is more or less dead as far as he's concerned. There were plans for him to come back and do a final movie and send the character off in the right way. However, those plans have now come to an end. And he has said that, what is the quote? Nothing on this earth would get him to come back to Disney to do another Pirates movie. So Captain Jack Sparrow, as we once knew him, is no more. Just another sad news story. This one came from Dan, so shout out to Dan. KJ Apa and Isabel May are set to star in DC's Wonder Twins movie. I didn't know what Wonder Twins was until the other day. I have never heard of those characters, but apparently they exist. And KJ Apa from Riverdale and Isabel May from Young Sheldon and Alexa and Katie will be playing the characters of, was it Zan?
It's been so long since I watched them.
Zan and Jaina. We'll go with Zan and Jaina as their character names. So DC's Wonder Twins with those two. The animated movie Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse has been delayed to June 2023. So a whole nother year. So if you're a fan of those animated Spider movies, well, I guess there's only been one at this point, but if you're a fan, you have to wait a little bit longer. Shazam, Fury of the Gods will reportedly have some reshoots taking place in early May. So it's still scheduled to release this December. I guess minor reshoots they're currently undergoing. This is kind of left field. Actor Freddie Prinze Jr. Is trying to start a wrestling company to compete with the WWE.
We had talked about this a while ago too.
He worked for the WWE for a few years, and now he's trying to start his own business. This is something. We're here to talk about The Wizard of Oz, folks. The Wizard of Oz made news this week. Can't make this up. 80 years later, after its release, it is still in the news. And not because we're talking about it, because something happened. Judy Garland's missing dress from The Wizard of Oz showed up this week. Of all weeks, right?
Yeah.
It was found in a shoebox nearly 50 years after being missing. Let me read what it says here. Dress worn by Garland was recently unearthed at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. The dress was given to Father Gilbert. Father Gilbert Hartke. I'm not sure how you say his last name, but it was given to him in 1973, a priest who was in charge of the school's drama department. But he soon lost it, and the dress had been missing ever since, until this week. Crazy, right? And this next one, I can't believe this is a real sentence. Kind of wrestling, well, not kind of, is wrestling related again. And Dan, pay attention. WWE superstar Kevin Owens has officially challenged actor Matthew McConaughey to a wrestling match at next year's WrestleMania 39. No word on whether or not McConaughey will accept.
I just want to put it out there. I feel that Matthew McConaughey is the type of person that might actually go with this. Yeah, I could see him doing it. I really could.
Yeah. He apparently went on, I don't know if it was Twitter, if it was an interview, but he said that he would love to face Matthew McConaughey, but then got in character quickly and said if he did face Matthew McConaughey, he would F him up, and is challenging him to a match at WrestleMania 39 next year.
Like Matthew McConaughey just like coming to the ring, just scrub the floor with him. And that would be his only appearance ever.
It's a wild week, I tell you. I mean, Wizard of Oz dress and Matthew McConaughey possibly getting in a wrestling ring. It's crazy, but we're moving on. Insidious Chapter 5 is a thing.
Wait, what?
Insidious Chapter 5 is confirmed, and Patrick Wilson, star, is returning to star and direct.
Oh my God.
Have I missed like several of the Insidious movies? Like, where are they at?
This is number 5.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
4 was the end. 4 was The Last Key was the name of it.
Oh, okay.
It was probably 3 or 4 years ago. It was before COVID that the last one came out.
Was that the one with the girl who was like in her bedroom or something?
There's one.
That was 3. That was 3.
The character's fingers turned into like keyholes.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember watching that.
I do, but I don't recall.
It was decent.
Insidious is usually pretty scary.
I would say the first one was
really good.
Was like one of those things you didn't expect to be so good and so scary that even to this day, like thinking about it, I remember when I went to watch it in the movie theater. And it scared me so bad. I was sleeping over with a friend.
That's one of
and
those,
we literally couldn't go to sleep because we were scared we were gonna like.
That's one of those franchises. Like I know you like to talk about the score a lot, but the score
oh my God,
drives
yes,
a lot
yes,
of that.
It does. Yeah. And that's the thing too. You think about that music in there, and like I'm correlating it in my brain. Like I'm scared, like thinking about it. I'll probably dream about it tonight. Seriously, it's scary stuff.
This isn't really news, but it was in the news. So you know how we got Jurassic World, right? And Chris Pratt is a star of that. Well, we almost got Josh Brolin as the star of that. He kind of revealed in an interview this week that he was offered the part of Owen? Yeah, of Owen in Jurassic World, and turned it down.
Good.
And he says he's very happy with his decision because Chris Pratt does a really good job with the character. Yeah. And he's glad that he turned it down. And the news keeps getting more bizarre. So remember that Flash movie that Ezra Miller's in, that Michael Keaton is supposed to make his big comeback in? It was supposed to happen this summer, but now it's happening next summer in 2023. Well, TMZ reported just a couple days ago that one of the reasons that it was pushed off a whole year is because they are working to CGI Adam West and Christopher Reeve's Batman and Superman characters into the movie. Yes, the deceased Adam West and deceased Christopher Reeves into the movie because it is a multiverse. It is a flashpoint thing where he travels across
they could
time.
Make it.
I could see why they're doing it. Well, I just, do we ever stop to wonder if we should?
Well, I mean, it's the same with Ghostbusters.
That's-
It's the same.
It's right at what you just said, right at Jurassic Park. Jeff Goldblum, what does he say? They trying to see, or what does he? How does he say it? Something like they spent all this time trying to see if they could, but they never stopped to see if they should.
Yeah.
So we might be getting. It's only a rumor at this point. TMZ reported it, and they're pretty often a reliable source, but. That Christopher Reeve and Adam West are set to make a comeback as Batman and Superman.
That's the case. That's a major spoiler.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say
I mean,
so.
I could just imagine the shock value in the theater. You're seeing Adam West and Christopher Reeve.
Well, because you know how like Marvel likes to keep it like top secret. I'm just surprised DC like that was able to slip through.
Well, then again, maybe with all this news with Ezra Miller, which we won't report on, maybe they're trying to purposely let things leak just to try to keep attention on this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the other part of that too is they're going through new management with Warner Bros. And everything else in DC. So it might be that maybe there's some changing of the guard and some people are getting, axed and they just, hey, I'll let you know. So it could be a lot of things.
But I mean, with that point, if that's the case, give me all the give me Val Kilmer, give me George Clooney, give me Bale.
That's just like, give me all the movies.
Give me, I mean,
Robert Pattinson.
I mean, why not? I mean, give me all of that in one movie, and like in short increments. I don't want to see a whole movie with all of the. I don't need to see
all the Batman
No Way Home
around
for Batman. Like I don't need to see.
It's a Flash movie.
Right, exactly. It's a Flash movie, but see, the thing is, the Flash doesn't have like a good, other than the TV show on CW, it doesn't really have a good cinematic history where it can pull from. So it's pulling from the Batman universe, and now apparently the Superman universe, and give me Nicolas Cage's Superman that we never got to see, the Tim Burton directed movie that almost was, that never happened. So, trying to wrap this up, Expendables 4 released their movie poster. So that's a thing.
Have they been expensed enough?
It seems like this is going to be the last one. At least that's what it's leading to. Supernatural fans, Jared Padalecki was in a very severe car accident and is recovering. But Supernatural co-star Jensen Ackles has said that he's very lucky to be alive, and apparently it's really serious. But
yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was. Yes, yesterday. So no other reports as how bad, but Jensen Ackles has said that it was very, very serious, and he's lucky to be alive. So our thoughts and prayers go with Jared Padalecki. Recover soon, sir.
Wow.
Batgirl. Because we can't get away from the superheroes. Batgirl was set to be an HBO movie. It is now getting a theatrical release. No word on if it's going to be in December, like the HBO date was going to be, or if it's going to be pushed or moved or whatever. I don't know. I'm very curious about how they're going to do that myself, because being the Keaton fan I am, he was supposed to make his return in Flash and then Batgirl. Now Batgirl's happening first. So I'm just kind of curious how they're going to handle all that, but I guess time will tell. Oh, and then we've got a couple more. Sorry. It's been a crazy week. Princess Bride star Carrie Elwes was bitten by a rattlesnake. And if you haven't seen these photos, I'll throw it up. So if you're watching this episode, caution, it's gnarly looking.
Yeah.
But he has been taken to the hospital. He's been released from the hospital. He is recovering, but he was bitten on the finger. I think it was a middle finger or ring finger, and it is the size of probably Texas. It is nasty looking. So again, well wishes to Carrie Elwes. Hopefully he recovers soon. Sony is making a Venom 3 and a Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. They officially announced today. So we will be getting more Ghostbusters films, which we kind of already knew that. And then they officially announced a Venom 3 because we didn't already say everything we needed to say, apparently, with Venom in Venom 1 and 2. And then I believe, nope, 2 more stories. Sorry, I thought I was done. I threw this one in just because of the name. Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead have officially married.
Oh my gosh, that's
So
awesome.
congratulations to them.
Yes, many congrats.
I feel like I'm missing an opportunity there somewhere. And then my last story of the evening, day, whenever time you're watching this, and another one, I can't believe this is a sentence. Rapper Bad Bunny has landed a Marvel movie role as the Spider-Man character El Muerto. I guess he's going to get his own spin-off movie by Sony, which makes me just feel all warm and fuzzy that it's going to be great, just like Morbius. So if you're a Bad Bunny fan, now he's into acting, kids. So
Good for you, Ben.
and that's all the news.
Well, good job, man. That was a lot of good stuff.
That was.
And crazy that we actually had some Wizard of Oz stuff on this week. Just happened to coincide with that. You must have staged that box for us.
I tell you, as it was coming in, I just couldn't believe it. Like, wait, Wizard of Oz is in the news? What? Wait, Matthew McConaughey's been challenged to a wrestling match? What? Wait, Bad Bunny is going to be in a movie? What? Like, it just was like so bizarre as the news was just coming in that I was like, this is going to be an interesting week.
Is this even real life? That's a good question. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the point of our little broadcast review that we kick it over to stats. Typically, I handle stats, but for today, since I'm doing most of the talking as the host, I'm going to kick it over to my beautiful wife, Miss Kayla.
Thank you. Okay, so what do we usually go over for this? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so everybody, I am going to give you the stats for The Wizard of Oz. This film came out in 1939, and it is a musical fantasy film. So it is starring Judy Garland as Miss Dorothy Gale, and we have a slew of other characters that we meet throughout the film: the Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow. So I'm just going to go over quick what the ratings were all over the platforms. So on IMDb, this got an 8.1 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, this received a 98%. On Metacritic, it got a 92%, and 85% of Google users liked this movie. I'm pretty sure I was reading a whole bunch of random trivia on this because there's a lot of trivia, and it was actually kind of interesting. So I do know the budget for this film was $3 million. And at the time, that was like the biggest budget for a film. And it actually broke even exactly at the box office. So when it was first released at the box office, it actually wasn't that big of a hit. Like people really didn't go to films that much to see something like this. This was something different. But when it started becoming syndicated on television is where it picked up its biggest group of followers. And that's where it really started gaining traction as a classic movie. So that was a little trivia. I'm sure I'll drop pieces in there because I remember what I read. But anyway, this was directed by Victor Fleming. Music was done by Herbert Stothart. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sure he passed away, so R.I.P. And this was adapted from a book, called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. And that was written by, do we know? L. Frank Baum. I will say from general knowledge up here, my little noggin, I remember reading this book many years ago now, but the book varies so differently from the movie. There's like things here and there. Of course, they have to, when they put it onto a screen, change things to make it more, mesh. But really, the book in itself is something entirely different. But the two, as separate entities, are great things. So I will now, if I missed anything, I'm so sorry, Matt and Dan. Oh my God, Dan? No, I'm getting confused. Matt, Dan. Anyway.
Your husband. Like
anyway,
KJ Appa reminded you.
I know. Yeah, true. Sorry. Shout out to KJ Appa. Anyway.
Wonder Twin.
We are going to, yeah, dude, it's like full circle today. What is going on? Anyway, I am going to finally turn it over to Dan, who is going to present this movie. Yeah, I talk a lot. I get it.
I'm talking about me. I'm going to talk about it.
All right, here we go. Bye.
So, guys, again, grew up with this movie. I mean, we all did. We weren't before. None of us were before this movie. None of our parents and possibly our grandparents were before this movie. So it's been around for a while. So when we're talking about this, just looking at the top, this is one of those iconic films that kind of in its time set the tone for the rest of the industry. I mean, you're talking about a $3 million budget back in those times, not chump change. There was a lot that went into this movie: set designs, the costumes, the effects. And I was asking Kayla, like, there's some things in this movie, like the tornadoes in the background and
the flying monkeys.
Flying monkeys. I just still in this day and time, I'm like, how the heck, without CGI and other things, did they get it to look that good? And it's just, even when you're looking at it, you can tell, okay, they probably use wires for this or whatever, but that's part of the fun of this movie. And it's an old movie, but the set design, and again, I'm watching the colorized version, as we probably all did. When you are taken from this bland setting, being out in the West, whatever, and you're going into, Oz, it's just how it must have appeared. Like the folks who, when this first was colorized, like, oh my gosh, this is freaking beautiful. And I was talking to Kayla, I was like, it almost reminds me a lot of the inside of Willy Wonka's factory, just the colors and the vibrance and everything else, and the characters. And you're introduced to a whole world, and that's what they did. And usually, it's hard to build a world in such an amount of time. And as far as the film length, it's not an incredibly long movie, but it does a good job, I think, building up the plot. It does a pretty good job telling a story, even as cheesy as it might be at times. But it gives you a character. Again, probably no villain in the history of movies so iconic as a Wicked Witch of the West. You can literally talk to anybody about Dorothy, Toto, Scarecrow, all these guys, Wizard of Oz, and they know exactly who you're talking about. Why? Because this is probably ingrained on us and folks that watch movies. Like, I don't know, breathing is at this point. It's just ingrained in our culture. And I know I'm kind of all over the place with my reviews. Overall, I think that this movie is a solid movie from A to B. I think in the time it did a really good idea, or a really good job of capturing the imagination and giving people, a world outside the ordinary, something fantastic that they've tried to do sequels to. I've never seen it replicated, never duplicated. And it's something that I think is going to stand the test of time, as it already has. In what, 8 more years, we're looking at 100 years. No, I'm sorry. Where are we at? When was this released?
1939.
I'm sorry. So a little bit longer than that. 17 more years, and this movie's been out for a century. But for how long it's been out, just how it stood up and how it's still reviewed and generation upon generation, like our kids are watching this and enjoying it, it just says something about the movie. I'm right there with the rest of these folks. I'm going to put my rating right at an 8.5 overall out of 10. Great respect for this movie. Is it my type of film generally? No, but I can also appreciate how it set the tone for films after this, and kind of what other films tried to capture. So that's why I'm going with my rating, and I'll kick it to whoever wants to go next.
You can go, Matt. That way you don't have to go last.
I don't mind going last, guys.
I
just for the record. Especially now that other character's not on the show anymore. I don't mind going last. Wizard of Oz. If ever a wizard was, the Wizard of Oz is one because this is a classic movie. I'm gonna repeat a lot of what Dan said. 80, I think I saw 83 years. I can't do big numbers in my head like that, but I think it's 83 years since this movie's come out, and it's still around. It's still on TV every year, at least once a year. It's still influencing children. It's still influencing adults. It's still bringing families together. That is a powerful thing. I don't know any other movie that does that. You could argue maybe the Ten Commandments from the 50s, or you could argue, other big movies like The Dark Knight or other big things that have like come out that have like made a mark in cinema. But I don't think there's any other movie that has lasted 80 plus years that consistently brings in a new audience every year and consistently brings families together and consistently it's just full of memories. There's a reason that is. And, Dan was saying, the effects, the design, the makeup. Let's talk about the makeup on, and that's not something you usually hear me say, but let's talk about makeup. Have you seen the Scarecrow? I was examining him up and down this time, watching it around, and I just couldn't get over how well done the makeup was on all of the characters, Tin Man and the Lion. These are all characters that you know and love because it's been around forever, so you grew up with it. Anyone who's watching this episode of Picture This has seen this movie. I can 110% guarantee you that. That's because that's the impact this movie has. It's magical. It's childlike in the best way. It captures children's imaginations and it sticks with them forever. And I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Not because I think it's the best movie. It's not. Not because I think it's one of the greatest of all. Well, it is. Let's put it up there with one of the greatest of all time. But I don't think it's. I mean, it has its flaws, right? I'm not saying it's a perfect movie. It's far from it. But because it's a classic, because it set a standard, because it made a revolution in film and cinema, it is an essential. One of those 1001 movies you must see before you die. It's there at the top of the list for a reason. This one is one that I've seen, if I had to guess, over 100 times, and I will probably see, good Lord willing, if I live a long age, hundreds of more times because it is that iconic.
Very good. Okay. All right. So that leaves us with us. And sorry, guys, I'm pretty sure I probably apologize every single time because I go like crazy and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so like Matt said, and like Dan said, I'm probably going to repeat a lot of stuff that they talked about. Yeah, I mean, we all agree. Everyone agrees this movie is a classic. And like you said, Matt, too, there is probably no one who is of watching age who hasn't seen this film and doesn't know, or can't correlate or think about certain things without thinking about this film. You think of Yellow Brick Road. You think of Toto the dog, which I swore for the longest time until I watched this was a Scottish Terrier, but it is actually not.
It's a Cairn Terrier.
Yes.
Which is like, also from Scotland.
But I was still like, dude, no way Toto looked like this the whole time. Anyway, so this is a classic film. I too have seen it 100 of times, not because of his mom, but because growing up, I mean, it's just one of those things that everyone, has seen. So, I'm going to start off with maybe things I don't necessarily like. I think The Lion and for however long I've watched this, is creepy. He has scared me, and that's one of the reasons I haven't watched it within the last few years, because honestly, and this is just me, and I'm so sorry, his face is really creepy. I don't know if it's the I don't know if it's the makeup or what, or like the way he talks, or if he's like too human-like, and that's what really, because he really looks like a courageous little lion. I don't know. Anyway, fun fact, it was actually a lion suit that they put on him. It was a skin lion, and it weighed about 90 pounds. So the actor who was portraying the lion actually sweated so bad through the suit every night. Why are you looking at me?
I'm listening to you.
Are you? He's already heard this story. So anyway, he sweated. He sweated so bad that 2 assistants each night had to air dry the suit out. That's how bad, or how bad he sweated, or how heavy it was, whatever. Anyway, so that's my grief with the lion. The monkeys, I think, are pretty creepy too. I guess maybe I just don't like, I don't like human, like creature animal things. I think maybe that's like what I get creeped out about. Anyway, that's just my brain. So, don't take that with a grain of salt if you haven't seen it and you're like basing the movie off of our reviews. That's just how my brain is. So this movie, it carries so much with it that it's such a big thing. Like everybody said, it's part of everybody's lives. It's part of movie history, cinema history, what have you. I mean, there's a department probably in every single part of this film that other films have been influenced by, whether it's set design, whether it's makeup, costume, what have you, acting, singing, what have you. And the talent on this set too was outstanding. But when you talk about this film, I don't think you can overlook the tragedy that came later on from this film, especially the lead actress, Judy Garland, and what she actually went through for this role, and then how later on that affected her in life. So I think for me, after reading more on it this past time and watching it, that's the only kind of thing that really made me consider knocking this down from a 10 to the number I want to give it. Just because I don't think that can be overlooked. She did go through a lot for this film. And like I said, later on in years, I mean, diet-wise and health-wise, it really took a toll on her. And she was a young girl, and they did a whole bunch of things that were unfair. So I'm sorry, I have to bring that up. So for me, this movie is going to get a 7 out of 10, just because I feel like that little part of history kind of tampers with it being looked at or viewed as this almighty and great thing. But we have to look at, I mean, because at that time there wasn't really anything for like equality or gender wise, and I think that is what brought my number down to a 7. So 7 out of 10 for me.
Whoops. All right. And I think during the course of this, one thing that we did fail to mention, I know we talked about the struggles that Judy Garland went through this, which admittedly there were several behind the scenes issues that did pop up specifically with this movie. But as far as her portrayal on screen, this is something that this movie is remembered for as well. I mean, her vocal talent, her talent as an actress, and she did go through a lot, but at the end of the day, she made something beautiful, and that's something she's always going to be remembered for. And then it's unfortunate that what she had to go through to be remembered for something as iconic, which should have been a highlight of her life, which unfortunately was not so much, but definitely something that will be marked as her legacy, is her portrayal of the young lady in this film. So that being said, I do thank you all for sharing your thoughts. I'm really excited, that we got to talk about this movie. And again, it's very rare. I know we do a lot of more current movies, but it's always exciting when we get to look at one that pretty much kick-started a lot of the what we see today, and just to to give respect to ones that came far before our time and led us into where we are in movies. So again, thank you for that. Thank you, my mom Mary, who proposed this for us to watch. Definitely excited to have your thoughts as well. If you're watching this video, let us know if you love this movie, hated this movie. Is it something that you maybe you're one of those people who's never seen this movie before, and Matt's comments, calling everybody out about, man, you've had to have seen this movie, it just struck a chord with you. It's like, how dare you? Give us some kind of feedback response, whether it's in the comments here on the YouTube channel, or it's at Picture This Film Reviews on Instagram, at Picture This Film Reviews on Facebook. And what was our YouTube name, Mr. Matt?
It's youtube.com/Studio29Films.
Studio 29 Films. So please join us. Please watch what the rest of what we have. Does anybody have any closing notes before I kick it off for the ending here?
I was just going to say that I think with Kayla being scared of the lion and the monkeys, and Dan with the greatest villain of all time, the witch, I think that just, if anything, that's just more of a testament to what this film has ingrained in people and what it does. That, again, it's not a perfect film, but does it hold up? Obviously,
Yeah.
It does, because of that. It's still, that witch is still pretty scary. Those monkeys are still pretty terrifying. And then the lion never scared me personally, but I totally get it. He's kind of creepy looking. And
this is something too, this viewing of The Wizard of Oz, I don't know why it's taking me so long, but maybe it's just because I'm getting older and paying attention more. My attention span is a little bit better. But I was looking at Kayla, I was like, oh, you got to pay attention to this part. She's like, why? It's like that guy who just opened the door and is driving the carriage and is standing guard outside The Wizard of Oz. It's all the same guy. She's like, what? It's like, yes.
You not noticed that before?
No.
What?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things in a film, and even how many times you watch it, but little details that stick out to you. It just is amazing what you find, and how that plays to his character in real life, and how the real life versions reflected the fantasy versions, which I guess because there is a sequel to this, wasn't really a fantasy. I guess you'll have to give us your reasoning behind that as well. But
the second one, you can't even put it in the same category, because it's not even the same thing. And also, that one is legitimately scary. That thing is freaky.
That's borderline horror.
Right? Yeah, it is scary.
You said the monkeys or something get rollerblades.
That's borderline a horror movie.
Dude,
Return to Oz.
I will never again.
But anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Wait. What was that? At Picture This Film Reviews. Mr. Matt, why don't you take us home?
No.
Well, I'm not going to take you home yet, because we have to talk about what we're going to watch next week.
That's what I meant. Take us home.
And then one last thing, just because it's all coming back to me now, we can't not talk about the music of The Wizard of Oz. I mean, that's...
of course, yeah. And there's probably random trivia that I want to throw out there too.
Oh my gosh, the music is so iconic. If who doesn't know, we're off to see the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, or If I Only Had a Brain.
I know.
So iconic. Okay, off the Wizard of Oz soapbox. We're wrapping up our Mother's Day round with my pick, and it just so happens that it falls on Mother's Day week. For those of you sons and daughters who don't know, this is your heads up. Mother's Day is next Sunday.
Yes.
So when you see, you will watch our episode with my pick next Thursday. That Sunday is Mother's Day. So you're welcome. Go get your mom some gifts now. So my pick is my mother's favorite movie. This is not, I was going to say, this is not on the same level as The Wizard of Oz. This is more on a almost more on a level. It's not really even on a level as What Dreams May Come, but it's more on a serious level like that. This is a movie that's probably not many people have heard of, unless you kind of grew up with it like I did. My mother is a cowgirl. My mother loves horses. I grew up on a horse farm at certain parts of my life. So horses were all around. So it's only natural that one of my mother's favorite movies is about a horse. This is about a horse and so much more. Her pick is the movie called The Horse Whisperer from 1998. It is starring Robert Redford, Sam Neill, Kristen Scott Thomas, and a young Scarlett Johansson. So it is a drama, love story, Western type thing. It's all going on. And it actually wasn't streaming well, it was streaming like if you purchased it, but it wasn't streaming free anywhere up until just recently. It is now available on Tubi. If you know what Tubi is, I'm sure it's like an ad thing where it has ads mixed in, but it's absolutely free app. You don't have to subscribe. You can go on Tubi and watch The Horse Whisperer on there. So that
What
is.
year was this? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
What year was that? I'm sorry.
1998.
Oh, okay.
So says IMDb. So I thought it was 96. I really thought it was 96, but IMDb says 98. So we'll go with that. It's a different type of story, like I said, than what we've been doing. Well, I'm not going to go into it because we'll go into it next week, but The Horse Whisperer, check it out.
Sweet. I will. I've never heard of it actually. Like, well, before, but yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I've seen it.
Oh.
I mean, I guess Dan will give us the stats next week, but I mean, I don't think if just judging from my own outside looking in without any knowledge, I don't think it did a whole lot. I don't think it made a whole big noise, but it's Robert Redford who's starring and directing. So he's a big name.
Yeah.
And at the time, Sam Neill, 3 years, well, actually, no, a little more than 3 years off of Jurassic Park. And then Scarlett Johansson, I don't know if this was her first film or this was definitely one of her first films.
She was in Home Alone
3. Around the same time. That was
Okay.
like 98 or 99. So this is the same time frame.
Cool.
So now you're going to get me all geared up for horse movies. I'm going to have to start looking at Black Beauty and all those.
Seabiscuit.
Yeah, Seabiscuit. Wheelhorse.
I will warn both you guys and the audience. It's been years since I've seen it. I don't know for sure, but I remember the opening having a very graphic scene involving animal injury. So just a heads up, caution there, because I remember as a child watching this, it was pretty traumatizing. It may not be as bad now that I'm adult. I'll let you know next week, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up.
Is it like blood? Is it bone? What is it?
I
got
don't remember.
myself.
I don't remember.
I feel like it is a break.
I just remember thinking in my head the beginning of this movie is kind of gross and kind of like traumatizing, but I could be totally off. It couldn't be nothing. Maybe it just kind of scared me as a kid because I have not watched it. We were talking about What Dreams May Come, and I haven't seen in 14 years. I haven't seen this in probably 20 years. It's been, I was a young child the last time I watched this movie, and I didn't understand half of it. So we're going to kind of all go into this with fresh eyes. So it should be fun.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you for sharing, Mr. Matt. And again, as we're wrapping up for Mother's Day week, I guess we'll say it again, but happy Mother's Day to all the folks out there celebrating. And again, before we kick it off, I'm going to kick it back over to Matt one last time to give us our official sign out.
Everyone have a great everyone have a great week. Watch The Horse Whisperer on Tubi, and of course, love one another.
Bye.
Woo! See you guys.